European Union has announced a review of its trade and cooperation agreement with Israel amid escalating military action in Gaza and an ongoing blockade on aid. The review, backed by 17 EU foreign ministers, will assess whether Israel has breached human rights commitments under Article 2 of the EU-Israel Association Agreement. Let us listen to what the European Union has to say.
It is clear from today's discussion that there is a strong majority in favor of review of Article 2 of our association agreement with Israel. So we will launch this exercise, and in the meantime, it is up to Israel to unblock the humanitarian aid. Saving lives must be our top priority.
Israel has rejected the EU's move, calling it a misunderstanding of the region's complex realities. Meanwhile, the United Kingdom has halted trade talks, summoned Israel's ambassador, and sanctioned West Bank settlers, condemning the offensive as morally unjustifiable. This is what the UK Prime Minister stated.
But first, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to say something about the horrific situation in Gaza, where the level of suffering, innocent children being bombed again, is utterly intolerable. The recent announcement that Israel will allow a basic quantity of food into Gaza, a basic quantity, is totally and utterly inadequate. So we must coordinate our response, because this war has gone on for far too long. We cannot allow the people of Gaza to starve.
Despite trucks entering Gaza with critical supplies, the UN reports aid has not yet been distributed. On the ground, deadly Israeli strikes continue in Khan Yunis, killing at least 7 people across multiple raids, as global pressure on Israel mounts. Now we have Ross Feingold joining us as political risk analyst live from Taipei, Taiwan. Thank you for joining us. And has Israel violated the EU-Israel agreement by failing to uphold human rights obligation in its Gaza campaign?
Obviously, Israel disputes that contention. I think it's probably a safe assumption that the European Union is in fact going to find that Israel is in violation of its obligations under the association agreement between the EU and Israel. But ultimately, whatever the EU decides on this particular issue and whether or not Israel violates the wording of the agreement, Israel is probably not going to change how it's conducting the war in Gaza.
With 8 trucks reaching Gaza but no distribution taking place, what do you think is blocking humanitarian access on the ground?
The reality is they're still fighting there. The Israeli army is involved in an ongoing war with Hamas. There's hostilities that are occurring pretty much nonstop. That makes it difficult to distribute aid. First, it makes it difficult for the trucks to drive in. And secondly, it makes it difficult to have people line up and have aid distributed. So there needs to be some kind of downturn in the fighting so that it's safe for the deliveries and distribution to civilians to occur. Unfortunately, that's not where we are at the moment. At the moment, there's ongoing hostilities.
As the EU and UK take action and civilians that mount, could international pressure force a shift in Israel's military strategy?
That's a really good question. At the moment, it seems like the answer to that is no. And Israel is extremely sensitive and often rejects the views of its international partners, whether that's the European Union, the United Kingdom, or even the United States at times. However, I still think we have to keep in mind that Israel is sensitive to international opinion. It's not going to completely ignore it, even though it rejects some of the accusations that we've seen in recent hours from EU officials or from UK officials. So we could be cautiously optimistic that there might be a ceasefire, or there might be something like a humanitarian pause where Israel pauses hostilities for several hours a day to allow food distribution to occur. So there are some possibilities for Israel to slightly adjust its military campaign in order to allow food distribution to take place.
Thank you so much for joining us, Ross Feingold.